the feedback is good so far. I think that's the nature of a lot of the review system. People write about it when they like it. But inside that, I'm pretty, these songs, most of them started out as words, and they went through a long process, and it's very rewarding to see what words they inspire. And so I've been soaking that up and enjoying it. Expectation, just before release, there's so many things lining up that it almost just happens. I almost forgot to make a photo to put on my social medias. So I guess expectation was low on the day, but more just trying to be present and seeing that the songs have arrived, that things were rolling, and then I decided in a whim to send a couple personal messages to most of the people that I played music with in the past, and sent them the record, and thanking them for the time that we spent together. Before I picked up the typewriter, I was writing in a similar way with pen and paper, where forcing myself not to change anything, and mostly just writing and not looking at it afterwards. Then I went with a friend to the Danish Design Museum because she wanted to go, a visiting friend, and then I saw a typewriter, and it kind of struck me that this machine could take that method to another level. So I went on the classifieds and bought a typewriter that was down the street from me, that wasn't just fancy but functional, and started writing with it, and right away I could feel the permanence of every stroke of the steel on the paper. And then because it doesn't write as smoothly as a computer, one has to go at a time, one letter. It was a bit slow, and it was important to me to write at a similar speed that I was thinking. So I spent a lot of time having some written piece beside me and trying to write it as fast as I could without any mistakes. And once I could do that, then I could write and write in the way that I wanted to think. And the change from that is that the action of writing feels permanent. And I think that's the relationship I have to the language and to the words and to the thoughts, is that if they make it on the page, then they are awarded with permanence. And so it took a method I'd already been using to another level, and I still use it today. It's right here, actually. It certainly is desirable. I think everyone talks about it at some point in their life. It seems like I don't hear children, even really teenagers, mentioning entering the present moment, and I do this self-help book or this exercise or this meditation or this intoxicating substance to get there. So I'm not sure it's fully entwined into life, but it's something we learn to try to get back to, and that's where a lot of these songs, both in the written and the performance, they come from, and that is finding a moment when you can speak truth to yourself, and then trying to capture it in the crafts that you learn. Learning how to write on this machine was a bit of a craft because it took time to learn to write, and then I have guitar and voice and piano, and so exploring those expressions when the present is vibrant and fear is essentially not present. That's where, in my work, and that's where I write things that I find to be good. So I would say it is something many people look for. I think, like a lot of things, when you get older, you find that you were closer to your true self when you were younger, and you try to get back to that freedom and fearlessness of childhood. Why it's hard? Well, because things are more complicated. There's no favorite song. That's easy. But in certain moments, one song is more interesting than another. I'm a completely different audience than anyone else, really, with this record, because I wrote the songs and played most of the instruments on the record. So I can't really advise on what song is best for someone else. But I think now that the record's out, actually, sitting right here, I just got the vinyls today. Pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that it's out, I find the songs that we didn't release as singles as interesting to follow the response, because I think every song on the record, from my personal perspective, deserves the same life, but that's not how the business goes. So I would say, when you say at the end of the question, what makes you proud, I have a different story with each of them, and they make me proud in different ways. I just played a concert where, for the first time I've been able to play it live and it sound the way I want it to, and that would be the last song on the record, A Place Where Your Mind Can Be Free. And so right now, that's one I've been listening to more, and I feel it's getting a new life, at least with me. So that one's special. And I wrote that song last in the writing for the record, and I'd already worked on the method where songs would pour out and I could feel if the moment was right that they'd be good. But this is the only song where the entire lyrics, performance, melody, vocal melody, piano melody, the whole entire piece in its entirety came out in one movement. I sat down at a piano in the studio without necessarily the desire to write a song, and I hit a fat G major and started singing, and moved to an F, although actually a C, and then to an F, and words were pouring and they came out right, and my hands were following, and the whole song came out in one. And that's why the performance on the record is the way it is. I couldn't really perform it in the right way without simply walking in, sitting down and playing it. And so that's what I did to record it. You can hear me walking both in and out. And also why the first piece, the first part of it, there's a fancy word for that type of playing, but the first part of it doesn't have a precise rhythm, because that was part of the performance, is that I was finding the chords as I was finding the words and the melodies. And that was the first moment I felt I could kind of play the piano, because I was making it happen on the spot. And also probably the ultimate kind of peak or climax of the writing of the record, because not only had the method for writing the lyrics fall into place, but at that moment that method was put into practice in the entire process. And so that one's special, and I'm proud of it, and I think it's worth listening to. In this last exercise, I've been asked to show my favorite place in Copenhagen. Oh, there's a dog. This place is somewhere you can go. Essentially anything along this boulevard called Sunder, with an O with a line through the middle. Sunder Boulevard there is the city hall. Otherwise, my favorite place is probably at this point a studio. So I'll show you that. This place. I found out to be true. That